My darlings, lean in, because what I'm about to tell you is not just another royal headline. It's not the palace PR version. It's not the tabloid fantasy. No. This is the story they are terrified you'll hear. A meeting that was supposed to heal a royal fracture ended in silence, tension, and a shocking exit after barely 30 minutes. And trust me, that wasn't an accident. It wasn't doctor's orders. It wasn't scheduling conflict. It was something far more uncomfortable. Something the palace has been scrambling to hide. Imagine flying across an ocean to finally speak to your own father, only to be rushed, shielded, monitored and ushered out like a political inconvenience. Imagine stepping into a room where love should live, and instead finding walls, agendas and eyes that don't dare meet yours. Why was the meeting cut short? Who wanted Harry out of that building? And what truth was so dangerous that the palace refused to let father and son speak freely? My darlings, today we peel the gold paint off the crown and reveal what really happened in that room. Every whisper, every motive, every hidden reason they hoped would never reach you. Take a breath, because this one will shake you. So, as you know, the British media painted this dramatic picture. Harry got on a plane, raced home after news of King Charles' health scare, and the nation held its breath for a father-son reunion. Cameras waited, reporters frothed, pundits speculated like it was the second coming of Coronation Day. But here's where the story shifts. Harry arrived. He was escorted through a back entrance, no balcony appearance, no warm embrace, no palace car waiting to pick him up after. And when the meeting ended, shocker, Harry didn't even stay the night. They had him in, out and gone before the tabloids could form their next headline. Darling, this wasn't a reunion. This was a controlled encounter, a scripted moment, a royal PR exercise, not a father and son healing moment. Now, according to The Sun, the reason the meeting was short was because King Charles was tired, he was following doctor's orders, and the palace wanted to avoid stress. Cute, very cute, but sources, and I use that term lightly, don't match the energy of what really went down behind palace walls. Here's what actually happened, based on insider chatter the tabloids conveniently ignore. 1. The palace didn't want a prolonged emotional reunion because a longer meeting means deeper conversation. Deeper conversation means truth. And truth is the one thing the monarchy cannot afford right now. Harry knows too much, knows too many players, knows too many secrets, and they cannot risk him asking the questions they've been avoiding for years. 1. Certain senior royals did not want Harry in that building. Let's not play games. There are people inside that palace who panic at the idea of Harry returning in any capacity. Why? Because Harry brings accountability. And accountability is poison to a system built entirely on silence, optics and hierarchy. 1. The meeting was meant to be symbolic, not meaningful. This meeting was engineered to say, look, the king is the bigger person. Look, Harry came home. Look, reconciliation. Look, future peace. Without actually doing any of the work. It was an image, not a moment of healing. 1. The time limit was deliberate, because the monarchy is terrified of one thing: Harry speaking publicly after a genuine conversation. If they keep the meeting shallow, short and surface level, they can predict the headlines. If it gets deep, well, the palace loses control, and control is their oxygen. Now, Let's step into the palace's hushed corridors, where insiders tell a different story. The first unforgivable fear of genuine conversation. A longer meeting risked honesty and vulnerability the institution can't handle. The second, influence of wary senior royals. Some saw Harry's return as a threat, pushing for a short, controlled encounter. The third, the meeting was for show, a performance to avoid public relations disaster. A brief meeting allowed the palace to claim reunion while ensuring no real progress. These three unforgivables, fear of honesty, influence of others, and prioritizing image, paint a darker picture. The institution is trapped, unable to forgive because it fears for its own survival. The time was limited not by the king's schedule, but by institutional fear. Fear of truth, emotion, and the man who dared to speak his mind. The 30-minute meeting was a wall, keeping messy reality at bay. The palace's priority, control, not connection. The cost, a family further divided. What did Harry hope to achieve by crossing an ocean for a half-hour meeting? His intentions were simple: truth and respect. He wanted an honest conversation, not as prince to king, but as son to father. He hoped to set healthy boundaries, protecting his own family from the monarchy's demands. His return was about love, not anger, a plea for understanding, not permission. Harry sought accountability, not blame, believing healing requires acknowledging the past. He wanted the institution to recognize its role in his departure. Without this, reconciliation would be hollow. Ultimately, Harry's wish was for his family to be just that, a family, not an institution. His quest was for truth, not a crown. At its core, this story is a clash of values. On one side, Harry championing transparency, emotional honesty, and personal truth. For him, healing begins with difficult conversations and setting boundaries. On the other, the monarchy, built on duty, tradition, and stoic silence. The motto, never complain, never explain. The palace values public stability over personal healing. Harry's openness is seen as a threat, not a step toward healing. What he calls courage, they call betrayal. The 30-minute meeting was the only way the institution could engage without compromising itself. Long enough to be called a meeting, short enough to prevent real conversation. The impasse remains. Harry asks for a door to be opened. The palace keeps it barely ajar. In this clash, there is no easy winner, only a chasm that remains. What can we learn from this drama? First, look beyond the headlines. Real stories are rarely simple. Behind every official statement is a more complex human reality. The story of Charles and Harry is universal family pain and the search for common ground. True dignity lies in honesty, even when it's hard. Set boundaries to protect your peace, not to push others away. My darlings, the truth is simple. Harry wanted a moment of honesty. The palace wanted a photo-op narrative. And that's why the meeting was short. Not because of health, not because of scheduling, not because of surprise. Because the monarchy is terrified of any conversation they cannot script. And that's the part the tabloids will never tell you. If you love content that cuts through the noise and exposes the real royal dynamics, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Because here, on Meghan and Harry Tales, we tell the stories they try to bury. See you in the next one, my darlings.